We're gonna react to the rise and fall of controller players in Fortnite. So
In a
let's
game
check
as
it
advanced as Fortnite,
out.
controller players
I don't
had
know who
no
this guy
business
is.
competing
Let's
with
see.
anybody using a keyboard and mouse. But 2 years after the game's release, they were
Wait a second. Let me turn up my audio just in case it's a little low for desktop audio. Bump that up some. All right. What he just said is true, by the way. Let me restart it.
In a game as advanced as Fortnite, controller players had no business competing with anybody using a keyboard and mouse. But 2 years after the game's release, they were completely terrorizing
True.
the competitive scene. At one point, 85% of players in every major tournament played on controller, but today that number has plummeted to under
What?
10%. So how does a group that makes up
Hang on. What did he just say?
controller, but today that number has plummeted to 85% of players in every they were completely terrorizing the competitive scene. At one point, 85% of players in every major tournament played on controller, but
85% of players in every major tournament were played on controller? That sounds pretty misleading. I don't believe that at all. I remember, I think there was a big tournament where like 35% were controller players, and that was pretty like wow, but I don't know where he got that info.
today, that number has plummeted to
Maybe it's
under
accurate. I don't think
10%.
so.
So how does a group
I
that
can
makes
believe
up
that.
3/4 of the entire player base struggle to compete at the highest level? This is the rise and fall of controller players in Fortnite. In the early days of Fortnite, if you played on PC, you would be using a mouse and keyboard, and if you played on console, you'd be using a controller.
Right.
Because of
Pretty
this,
much every
everybody
game.
just agreed that KBM players were way better than controller players
Before we
because
get too deep, listen. Fortnite changed gaming, period. Back in the day, everybody had PC. They played mouse and key pretty much every game. There might have been some exceptions. Even big streamers like Nick Merckx, y'all know who that is. He was still on a PS4, just using PC to stream. He played on a console controller still when Fortnite was a year and a half deep. He was still, or no, 2 years deep. He was still on a freaking console.
PC is better than console. So if you
I
play
miss
controller, you only
console
play
only
against
lobbies,
other
by the way.
controller players, and the same thing went with mouse and keyboard. The two most important things in Fortnite are having good aim and being good at building. This is where keyboard and mouse really had an advantage. It is much easier to aim using a mouse because you have your whole arm compared to a controller where all you
It's like
have
that
is a
little
tiny
crouch peek.
plastic stick to move around with your thumb. Luckily, controller players had aim assist to make up for this, but it wasn't really that strong. Building on keyboard was also way easier than controller because there are so many buttons you have to press. For the first few months after the game's release, controller players had to scroll through each build and press so many buttons in order to do something
That's
that
when I
only took
quit.
one button
When I
press on
first
a
started, I
keyboard.
instantly
Overall,
quit. I was
playing
like,
on
no, this is
controller
too
put you
hard.
at a massive disadvantage until the Builder Pro setting was released in January of 2018.
Builder Pro
Builder
was a
Pro
game
made building on
changer. Oh, that
controller
was
similar
Upshaw.
to mouse and keyboard. You press one button to switch to your builds, then another one to instantly place a build piece, and use the same bind to switch back to your guns. This caused a massive jump to the skill level of all
Oh, was that
controller
sweat?
players.
Vicious
Although this was a
sway.
massive improvement, KBM was still the better input
Oh,
to play on.
Daquan. One of the
Get out my face,
OGs,
brother.
man.
Twitch, by the way, head ass. Get up on out of here, brother.
And in September of 2018, Fortnite announced one of the most revolutionary things in gaming history: crossplay between PC and console. This was the
Man,
first time ever where console
it
and
was
PC
cool,
players would be
but
matched in the same lobby. Once this happened, console
like, okay, I had just bought a PS4. I've been an Xbox guy pretty much. I bought a PS4 to play with my PS4 buddies, and I knew that that was a potential thing. They talked about crossplay between console, and that did come out. And then they brought out like extended crossplay to where you play PC too, and it was like what? But as cool as that sounds, I prefer keyboard and mouse in one lobby, controller in the other lobby. Even PC controller, that's fine. I would rather go up against that if I was on console. I'm on PC now, you have to, but like I one thing I don't get is all the keyboard players complain about aim assist, control. Their aim is still better. You need aim assist. You know why? Let me explain this to y'all real quick. Let me explain this to y'all. This is something that no one talks about. So when you touch the stick, right, and you go to the right, to come back to the left, you have to bring it here first, then to the left. With a mouse, okay, it's right, left, no matter what. It moves right, left. So if they could make a setting to where you could be right, and then if it comes back slowly to the left, it would go left on screen before you get to the center point, then left. Maybe we could test that out or something where we wouldn't need as much aim assist. But like right now, we need more. Like the aim assist is so. I get called out for hacking, and it's good aim. Like the aim assist ain't even doing nothing. I just have good
Players
aim.
realized that they could
Anyway.
just play on PC by plugging in their controller. Instead of playing on a console where they are capped at 60 FPS, they could now play on PC and have higher FPS with much less input delay. With the increased performance, they were slowly getting
Look at those
closer
old
and
colors,
closer
man.
to mouse and keyboard players.
Oh, I love
On
it.
top of this, a few months after the crossplay update, something massive was discovered. A controller player named Upshaw was messing around with his settings one day and realized that his aim assist was much stronger when he had higher FPS.
I did a video where it was also stronger on PS4 than it was on Xbox. You didn't get the same pull. I don't know why. Both running 60, but it was weird, man. Really weird.
A couple feet away, I can snap right into his head. We just a single touch on L2. Now see what happens when I turn it all the way down to 30 FPS.
Y'all see me keep looking over there. It's because I got the
We're
Baylor
still the same
game on.
distance away,
Big Baylor
but one
fan.
tap does not drive me into his head at all.
He turned his game all the way down to 30 FPS and had little to no aim assist, but as he raised it higher and higher, it became stronger and stronger. This discovery would cause every controller player who took the game seriously to switch to PC immediately. Shortly after this discovery was the beginning of L2 spamming. Whenever you aim down sights, the aim assist would basically lock onto the player you're looking at, and this meant that constantly aiming in and
Hey,
out meant you would have
I still
robot
think we need
lag.
L2. I
One of
don't
the
care what
first
anybody
players to
says.
master L2
Even though I don't
spamming
really have a
was
problem with
He
aim,
first blew up
L2
like
is
a
better
BF
for...
Fortnite summer skirmish that took
I don't
place
think they
in
understand how
PAX
bad the
2019.
casual players
At
are.
the time, Nick Merckx was considered to be one of the best controller players in the game.
Oh, I
and
remember
they
that
tried
tournament, man.
testing him at this tournament. And he went on to
Nick
do
Merckx
just
was the
that.
first guy I started watching back in the day to learn how to play. I'd never explain. I was always a Call of Duty guy, right? I never played a third-person game. I played like one game PUBG, 2 games. I didn't like it. Tried Fortnite, didn't like it. Couldn't hit a shotgun shot. Typed in one day, controller settings. Nick Merckx popped up, and he was so good. Like, everything I do now, I learned from watching him. IQ, little swerves, little crouch swings, all that stuff. Like, that's where I learned from. I watched Aiden too, but Nick Merckx was so good. Wrong gun, man. What else did he have right there? Oh, he went. Man, he didn't realize he needed to press R1, and he pressed L1. Sucks, man. That sucks.
He absolutely dominated Nick Merckx, making him the new best controller player. If you look at the leaderboard from this tournament, everybody but maybe 5 people played on a keyboard and mouse, but this was a turning point because controller players realized that they could compete. Starting in 2019, Fortnite began hosting tons of open tournaments, meaning anybody could play. Speaking of tournaments that anybody can compete in, Playground.gg is hosting a $10,000 tournament that anybody can play. They're also giving away a custom-built PC signed by Peterbot. All you have to do is go to playacademy.gg, create an account, and connect your Fortnite account, then go to the tournaments tab and sign up. Everybody who signs up for the tournament is automatically entered into the PC giveaway, so if you want to win a brand new PC, sign up using the link at the top of the description. This included the $30 million Fortnite World Cup. Although every mouse and keyboard player was complaining about how overpowered aim assist was, controller players did not perform well at all. In fact,
Exactly.
out of the 100 players who qualified
Does
for
he need
World Cup
mechanics,
solos,
too?
only 7 played controller, and only 2 of the 100 players in duos were controller players. Considering
Even
around
with the OP aim
75%
assist.
of all Fortnite players use a controller, you would think more of them would be able to qualify. While Wolfies did manage to place second in duos, the best placement in solos
Wolfies was a
third by
badass.
Lecce, so the
Lecce
leaderboards were
was
dominated
also
by keyboard
really
and
good.
mouse. So what happened that suddenly
yeah,
made
just
controller
look at
players
it.
so good? Well, at the beginning of Chapter 2, new sensitivity settings were released. This made
Oof,
Fortnite on controller
Sway was
less
so
customizable,
dirty, man. This
so
is
everybody
old, and
was
Sway's
able
is
to
doing him
build
dirty.
and aim
Look
better.
at
One
him.
of the
Oh,
best players after this update was Unknown Army.
Unknown Army was crazy too. But see, that is not okay. That's not abnormal for a keyboard guy. Like keyboard guys do that too. They act like they can't. Keyboard guys do all that.
Oh my god.
All that
Unknown
happens,
completely mastered
man.
aiming on top of piece control, and it showed in his placements. He won FNCS in Chapter 2 Season 1 and also managed to win 6 solo cash cups along with a couple duo cash
He's
cups.
also
There was a
so,
huge
so,
shift
so
on every
smart.
controller leaderboard
His
this
IQ
season,
in
as time
Fortnite
and
is
time again, there
crazy.
were more controller players earning than mouse and keyboard. While players like Unknown were using the legacy aim assist settings, which made L2 spamming broken, other controller players started to switch to linear. The thing is, everybody thought legacy aim assist was the real issue because of how overpowered Unknown made it seem. This single-handedly caused Epic
Yeah,
Games
'cause
to
he was was the
improve it,
best
and
player.
everybody finally thought they nerfed controller into the ground, but little did they know it just got even better. Since everyone was so distracted by clips of players getting destroyed by L2 spamming, nobody realized that the new linear settings were even better. It was strong
No.
for aiming down sights, but the hip
No, linear settings were not better. Hipfire was a little better. AR was not better. The best thing was L2. The best aim assist was L2. Believe me, if I could have L2 back, what linear did help with more than anything is build and edit.
was basically
Aim,
aimbot. This meant that the
it
new meta
lets
of
you
fighting
have a
controller was to
higher
jump in a
peak
box
at
and
aiming if you know how to
players
aim.
wouldn't even
But
carry
I
a
would take
shotgun
L2
because
over
carrying
linear
an
right
AR
now.
and SMG was a better option.
Either double scar or single scar. Or an SMG. No shotgun allowed. I don't care.
This caused tournaments to be dominated by controller players,
The
especially
hipfire
the
was
solo
like right
FNCS
there.
Invitational, where 75% of all players that qualified were using one. In the same season, Epic Whale, who was one of the best KBM players on NA West, decided to switch to controller and won an FNCS by doing so. Once this season ended, Fortnite obviously
He was already, see, that's misleading too. He was already so good at both. Like, he was so good. He was crazy. Oh, touchdown Baylor. Let's go.
knew something needed to change, so they nerfed the strength of aim assist by about 30%. This would be reflected pretty quickly just by looking at the
And right
numbers,
now,
because
console
most
has
controller
stronger
players
aim
relied
assist
on
than
the
PC,
overpowered
which
aim assist
sucks. It
instead
should
of actual
be the
talent.
same.
As a lot of players started to fall off, a few players were bursting onto the scene. Two of them were Day and Marrow. With the game mode being trios for all of
Day and
2021,
Marrow,
playing with
also
two
big
fighters was a
brains,
necessity, and Day and Marrow
crazy
was the
mechanics
best.
for
Along with
controller.
Reverse
I
2K,
mean,
they managed to win 2 FNCSs
see,
during a
the
time
problem
where
is everybody
controller
wants to
players didn't have
label
much
like
representation
aim
on
assist
leaderboards.
being why they
The
would
main reason
win.
for this is
They're
because
good.
most trios
There's
didn't
good
wanna have
players.
more
There's
than
smart
one controller
players.
player because it was much harder for them to get long range damage. In the entirety of 2021, there wasn't a single FNCS final with more than 20 controller players, and most of them had around 10 to 15. Although the best trio in the game had 2 controller players, most of them had 1 or 0. Luckily, Chapter 3 would change the game mode to duo, so this wasn't as big of an issue. Chapter 3 Season 1 also had one of the best metas ever for controller. The Stinger SMG was so broken and shotguns were so weak that barely anybody carried one. Close
That's
range
true.
tracking is
It
much
sucked.
easier
I
on
didn't even
controller
want to
than it
play.
is on keyboard and mouse, so with a spray heavy meta, this benefited controller
not
players
true.
a ton. But somehow, even with the best case scenario, only 24 controller players managed to qualify for grand finals. Of course, Marrow would go on to win FNCS with
24%.
Fuga, but most of the other controller players finished in the bottom half. After this, everything started to go downhill, and this was the last time we would ever see more than 20 controller players in a major tournament final. This is because of 3 main reasons. First is aim assist bugs. Chapter 3 and 4 had tons of issues where you would
Yeah,
just
where it
randomly
wouldn't work.
lose aim assist for an entire game. This might not seem like a huge deal, but aiming without aim assist is very difficult, and when you're in a lobby with the best of the best, you need it to perform. Second is the addition
Alright.
of scoped weapons. Weapons with scopes have very little aim assist, which makes it hard for
Yeah,
controller
and
players to
keyboard and
perform
mouse
closer.
have a separate
This
scope
means
sense.
KBM
We
players
used
had a
to,
huge
and now we
advantage, and
don't.
since scope
Why?
weapons are still
Why?
the norm in Fortnite today, it is a big reason why they dominate
Whoa,
static
buddy.
lobbies. The third reason is the box fighting meta. With the entire game revolving around box fighting, most
Shut
players
up.
in KBM nowadays are too far ahead mechanically to the point where controller players cannot keep up. Box fighting on KBM has always been way easier than controller because you can be much
Right.
quicker with your movements and make more plays overall.
Look at that.
And going into Chapter 4, this trend would continue with only about 15 to 20 controller players in each season's grand final. And going into the global championships in Copenhagen, only 9 of the 100 players who qualified for grand finals were on a controller. Of course, Marrow won this tournament too. He doesn't even count. In under 3 years, we went from 70 plus controller players in every major tournament finals to under 10.
Thought it was
You might be
85
wondering if
earlier.
it's possible to ever see controller as the superior input, and the answer is no. Even if aim assist was buffed back to the strength it was in early Chapter 2, the game has just advanced to a point mechanically where good players would be able to counter it. If you think about how good the average player was in 2020 compared to now, it is a massive difference. Do I want them to buff aim assist? No. But do I think it would be
Yes.
interesting to see if it could help controller players compete at a higher level? Maybe. If you enjoy videos like
They
this,
could do
please
something,
subscribe
man.
and
They could
subscribe
make
to my childhood
editing
videos
easier
and
somehow.
back, and if you want to watch another
They could
video
buff
like this, check
aim
out the
assist.
evolution of
100% need to buff aim assist. But anyway, what do y'all think? Should they buff it or not? Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out. You know the drill.